I have a good friend, a good buddy, who is very fond of reminding me and anyone who cares to listen to him once in a while of what he calls an ancient Chinese proverb. Who knows where it really originates from, but the saying is, may you live in interesting times. And we certainly do, with the November elections soon upon us, in fact, less than a month away. To say these are interesting times would be the understatement of the century. Important decisions to make, important choices to be made as well. And this month, as we have already begun what's typically called Respect Life Month, the month of October, is perhaps more than ever of utmost importance for us. And to use it well this time, this opportunity to reflect upon the gift of life and the respect that we owe life from conception to natural death, and allow that teaching and that value to take root in our hearts and to inform our actions, inform the choices that we make. We engaged beginning back on September the 14th in a 40-day period of prayer for all of us during this time of the coronavirus, the COVID virus. And I was asking, and have been asking, every one of our parish communities, and we ourselves as individuals, to engage in 40 hours of prayer, 40 days of prayer, and to be creative in terms of what shape that takes in our parishes, from 40 days of adoration to 40 hours of adoration all at one time, an hour a day, a few minutes a day, at different times of the day, and we sent out some suggested, beautiful suggestions for prayers and wonderful rites and rituals to use. And that's been wonderful and very creative. But there's also another 40-day period that began just a little bit later than that. 40 Days for Life, and that began on September the 23rd. It will end on November the 1st. And those issues are critical, and that ethic for life is of paramount importance as we look at candidates, as we look at propositions, as we examine legislation, especially here in the state of California. So, our 40 days of prayer began, and now our 40 days for life have also begun. There's a proposition on the ballot, it's Proposition 14, and it's called stem cell research. What they don't tell you is that it also involves embryonic stem cell research. But I went on the website promoting this proposition, and it says, Proposition 14 continues vital funding to find treatments and cures for life-threatening diseases and conditions that affect someone in nearly half of all California families, such as cancer. My family, in my own body, I'm fine now. Alzheimer's, certainly in my family, hopefully not in my body, not yet. Diabetes, that runs in my family too. Yeah, of course, very sympathetic, very important. But the small print is embryonic stem cells used from embryos that are not allowed to develop, life that is ended before, in a sense, it's really given the chance to grow and at the very beginning of life. So Pope Francis, back in 2017, talking to some healthcare workers, said, and I quote, no ends, even noble in themselves, cancer, diabetes, etc., no ends, even noble in themselves, such as predicted utility for science, for other human beings, or for society, can justify the destruction of human embryos. Now, you might have been referring to what's called in vitro fertilization, in fact, commonly known as test tube babies. And his teaching very much reaffirming an earlier teaching that came from the Sacred Congregation for Doctrine and of the Faith, incredible document that came out in 2008 entitled Dignitas Personae, Latin for the dignity of the human person, and the respect that we owe that, and the value of life that we honor, respect, cherish, and protect from conception to natural death. So back a few years ago, we had Proposition 71, and voters in California approved it. $3 billion for stem cell research, and that includes embryonic stem cell research. And we're having part due, the second part of this, in November. Proposition 14, $5.5 billion, more dollars for the same kind of research. It's not exclusively embryonic, but it includes embryonic. And if one life is taken, then we can't go there, even if it provides a cure for someone or for ourselves. I cannot and I will not take advantage of any kind of treatment, any kind of cure that involves the death of another person, even an unborn person. So this is a topic for another day, but we are in the midst of a pandemic. There are countries and organizations all over the world and huge pharmaceutical companies working on potential vaccines for the COVID virus. Well, ladies and gentlemen, some of those vaccines, the production of them, the creation of them, the testing of them, will involve and has involved using embryos and embryonic stem cells. And if we have a vaccine and it was produced that way, I can't do it. We can't do it as Catholic Christians. And now we come to Proposition 14 on the November ballot. And I'm not going to go into details because I'm not a scientist and I haven't done enough research anyway to even talk about some of the broader principles, much less the details. But I have a suggestion, especially during these 40 days for life, which is also going on, began on the 23rd of September and will end on November the 1st. But John Girardi, the director of Right to Life of Central California, he's been producing some wonderful messages, video messages, and you can find them on YouTube, every single day for these 40 days for life. And for day number 8, go to that one, day number 8, on the video from John Girardi, 40 Days for Life. With that information, you should be able to find it. And John does go into the details of what this embryonic stem cell research actually entails and the implications it has for our value, our absolute value for the gift of life, and how it does begin from the very first moments of conception. So my brothers and sisters, we do live in interesting times, don't we? We have choices to make. We have candidates to choose. We ask the Lord to instill in our hearts the overarching value of life, the respect of it, the protection of it, and the promotion of life. So, be strong, be courageous, be wise, and God bless you and those you love always and in every way.